Hey folks, how's it going? This is Iron Seagull here, back with another Sims info/thoughts video. So we got more SimGuru Q&A. There was so much from this past session that once again, I couldn't fit it all into one video without it being ridiculously long. So here we go with another video, including the idea of a foodie stuff pack, the chemistry system, and more. So let's get into this. So Crunchy Bee Zuzu asks, how much money do I have to slide you under the table in order to get a huge food-focused stuff pack that is basically nothing but new, beautifully rendered foods? I love what's being added through other packs, but I am a foodie! Also, please let us make oven cupcakes. And in response, SimGuru Grant says, you don't have enough money. So, while I wouldn't mind if we just never got any more stuff packs ever again for The Sims, I wouldn't mind if we got one last stuff pack just so that the last memory we have of stuff packs is not my first pet stuff, and to have that be a foodie stuff pack I think would be pretty awesome, though I'm a bit biased since I am also a bit of a foodie. Especially if you follow me on Instagram, yeah, you've probably seen me post pictures of my food. But, yeah, I did come up with the idea of a breakfast-themed stuff pack a while back for the My Sims 4 wishlist series, and that's definitely something I'd still love to see come true. Even though Cool Kitchen was a bit of a foodie stuff pack, it only came with ice cream, so I wouldn't mind if there was something that was also themed around food, but something quite different from dessert. And one potential idea for a new object to include with this sort of idea is a blender. As Malika Sebron asks, would you ever consider bringing blenders to TS4? And Grant says, we've talked about it, but we have a lot of kitchen appliances, and a blender would make more drinks, more soups. Would it really add too much value? Well, Grant, I think you have pretty much sold the object to me. I think that is a decent amount of value already. It's not something that I really feel like I think about enough, but really need more drinks that are not really alcoholic, because one aspect of backyard stuff that I really like that I think is often overlooked is the fact that it added that new drink tray that came along with a few new drinks, like iced tea and citrus swig, which I just think of as the Sims version of Sprite. So I think it would be awesome to have smoothies. It's not really something that I think we get very often in Sims games, and I'd love the option to just make a whole variety of smoothies. There's like that protein shake that's been there since the base game, I think, but yeah, I'd really love to have a whole bunch of different sort of smoothies made out of different kinds of fruit and other stuff. I think that'd be really cool. And one thing that I really loved about The Sims 2 Seasons, other than the debut of Weather, is the juicer, which also came with that pack. And I love how you could mix different ingredients to come up with these different smoothies that could give off certain effects, like if you mix 3 apples together, then your Sims could do homework faster, which, yeah, would be very handy. There was also another recipe that could work as a love potion. There was another which could cool Sims down, and then there was like another one that could warm Sims up, or make Sims less furious at each other. So yeah, not only would it be handy as just a refreshing beverage, you could also have ones with different effects. And on top of that, if you have dine out, you can have those on the menu at restaurants. And yeah, I definitely started using Cool Kitchen more after dine out released, because I would put the ice cream under the desserts menu at pretty much every restaurant in my game. And more soup I think would be really great too. And there really isn't enough soup in the game in my opinion, and maybe some of them could give off different effects too, just like the juices from The Sims 2, but I'm not quite sure. I don't know if everything should give off an effect, because I think that could get a bit disruptive. Like, you just want your Sims to have a certain thing without too drastic an effect. Maybe just improve their mood a little bit, but not too many crazy things like turning your Sim into a plant Sim, or having your Sim suddenly become in love with the next Sim that they meet, or anything over the top like that. But I guess one pretty good way of including more soup in the game that give an in-game benefit without it being too disruptive would just be if you happen to have seasons installed, then soup would warm up your Sims. So yeah, I think that would probably be the best way to do it. And then maybe there could be a select few soups that could give off different effects, but maybe they could just be really weird flavors like the plant sim ice cream. But now moving away from food a bit and more into kitchens, Layreen asks, have you thought about making more options for garbage disposal, recycling, sorting bins, trash compactor, and in-cabinet bins, for instance? It would sure be nice to be able to hide the bins in our builds. And Grant says it's a tough sell to promote that we made more garbage options. One of our challenges is that we know folks want us to imitate life, but we also have to carefully choose compelling, fun stories that are broadly appealing. It's a difficult balancing act. And I could definitely see where Grant is coming from with the tough sell thing, because yeah, in terms of marketing, it doesn't really sound all that sexy to say that, oh, we're giving players more ways to store their garbage. But I think part of that could be solved with the eco-friendly angle, because I do want recycling bins, since I do want some sort of eco-friendly sort of game pack. So at least with those you could say, okay, like this is modern and kind of like encouraging players to be a bit more friendly towards the environment and just that sort of positivity, but I'm not really too sure about the rest. I've never really thought about having garbage cabinets and that sort of thing, but I don't know, I guess that'd be sort of interesting, but I can imagine that not being that big of a priority. And yes, we did have trash compactors in the previous Sims games, but to be honest, I keep forgetting those were even a thing. I'm glad we did get the dishwashers back around the time of Cool Kitchen. I think the dishwashers have helped me plenty, but trash compactors, I don't know. I just feel like there isn't really much to the aspect of just getting rid of trash in your Sims home. It's just like, okay, you may have some bins in your house to temporarily store your garbage, and then eventually they overflow, so you gotta bring them to the outdoor bins where they just permanently go away, and that's it. There's really nothing else to it, so it's not really an aspect of gameplay that I really think about it too much. Though if all garbage suddenly went poof without any trash bins at all, then yeah, that would be weird. It would take away from the realistic aspect of The Sims. The next question we have here relates to ballet, as Kyra asks, is there any possibility of having ballet/dance things in the future? I know that complex dancing could be difficult, but even what we saw in Sims 2 was so fun. And Grant says it's possible. The challenge is finding a fit/theme for it. The reason being it'd be very costly, so it needs to really matter. And honestly, I think the solution for what it would fit into is pretty simple. Have a hobbies game pack. That's something that I would really love to see in the future. Hopefully not too far away, because yeah, I really love the Sims 2 free time with adding like an actual hobby system, and it just adds a little bit more weight to your Sims lives outside of doing like the whole work and falling in love thing. So yeah, I think ballet would fit very well into that sort of thing, where you could have dancing be a sort of hobby. And we actually do have a hobby system in Sims Mobile, so that at least tells me that they haven't forgotten about this sort of thing. But yeah, hopefully it's only a matter of time until it comes back to the PC side of things. And while we're on the subject of dancing, does anyone else remember the Smussle from The Sims 2 and The Sims 3? Because I think that would have fit great into Get Together, but they didn't do it for some reason. So I really think the Smussle should just be in every Sims game. And oh, there's Shower Woohoo. That'd be great at some point, but yeah, dancing, Smussle, yes. I think we definitely should have the Smussle in every Sims game. I just consider it to be one of those staples of the series that's been around since The Sims 2, and I don't know, it's just a classic. Don't ever ditch it. I think it's so cool. And since we do have footage of The Sims 3 Generations on screen here, might as well talk about something else that came with that expansion pack, and that's body hair. So Kyle Fruch asks, is body hair possible? And Grant says, yes, it is a possible to do thing. And yeah, I've said this a couple of times in the past, I do want body hair, and I'm kind of surprised that this far into the game, we still don't have it. Maybe it is just like another one of those things where it's like, okay, what sort of theme does this fit into? Though, I think this should come as a free update rather than be restricted to a certain pack. I do feel like it should just be one of those basic features that's included from the start with every Sims game from now on. And there's just been so many Sims that I've made where I'm like, man, they look even better with body hair, and even though there is custom content out there, I'd still really love to have that officially in the game, because I don't think it should be necessary to download custom content in order to have body hair in The Sims 4. The next topic relates to chemistry. So Ray asks, do you miss the like/turn on, turn offs from previous versions of The Sims? And would you want to bring it back personally if it was up to you? And Grant says, I like the idea of it, but if I brought it back, I might do it more broadly. And I'm not really quite sure where he's going with this, because it's like with turn-ons and turn-offs, they have to be specific, unless he means, like, for example, instead of having specific turn-ons and turn-offs like, oh, this sim is attracted to sims with blonde hair, instead it's just that the sim has a turn-on for hair color in general. They just really like hair. I don't know, that doesn't really make sense to me. But I do think, yes, turn-ons and turn-offs should definitely be brought back at some point. I do think it is one of those things that I think could give our Sims more depth. And one thing that I have been saying for the past few months is that I think the Sims themselves could use some more depth. And I think things like the character value system from Parenthood and the reputation system from Get Famous are steps in the right direction, but can definitely do better. And, this is just a coincidence, but especially with Get Together being on the screen right now, I feel like this is another thing that could have been with that expansion pack, but they didn't do it for some reason. I know Get Together was a bit more focused on clubbing than dating, but, well, that didn't stop them from including the woohoo bush. Next, Queen's Little Helper asks, is it possible we'll get better relationship options in CAS? And Grant says, I'd love us to do a lot more. It's sorta a tough, expensive thing to implement, which is why we haven't done it yet, but I want to. And yes, I really hope they get around to doing this one day, because I at least want an option to make it so that my Sims are just dating when they're coming out of Create a Sim and into the game, not necessarily always married right off the bat. And that actually would have been a really great thing to have in the recent Create a Sim video that I put out with the YouTube Power couple, because they're not married, but they're dating. But I had just had to go through and use cheats after putting them into the game and make it so that they're actually dating, since I couldn't just do that in Create a Sim. So yeah, it'd be nice to take less steps out of that process. On a somewhat related note, Ashy Elbows asks, how come NPC Sims can't propose? And Grant says, we've gone back and forth over how much control we give to players versus things that can happen. Personally, I wish Sims did a lot more on their own like this. And I think it would be good if there was something in the options menu where you just have a checkbox where it's like, okay, NPC Sims can do this, or they can't do this, because I actually don't really care that much about the story progression aspect, because I play with aging off, and I just make my Sims progress in their stories when I want them to, rather than just letting them always do stuff on their own, because sometimes I'm just like, oh, wait, okay, this Sim just suddenly married this other Sim who I never would have expected and don't really approve of. Sometimes it's kind of funny when that happens, but it's not really something that jives with my playstyle, so yeah, this definitely ties into the whole story progression thing. I know a lot of people want that back, so I wouldn't mind story progression fully coming back as long as it's optional like it was in The Sims 3. The next question comes from Tammy. Will we ever get a fixer-upper type pack where Sims can repair run-down items and things like walls and floors? Could even bring back messy bed and sleeping bags with the pack. And Grant says, I'd love this. Singuru Morgan suggested this. And I do remember with the community stuff pack voting, where that pack ended up turning into Laundry Day, one of the other suggested themes was home starter stuff. And if it maybe had this sort of fixer upper angle, that could maybe really work strongly in its favor. Maybe that could also end up being another sort of decent stuff pack if that ended up being a thing. And yes, I would love sleeping bags so much. I'd really love to have those in my game. I know there was custom content for it a while ago, but I'm pretty sure that broke with the update for Seasons and hasn't been fixed since, and I'd really love to see it be officially in the game too. And yeah, that'd be really great for sleepovers as well. This next question I find pretty interesting. Akesimmer asks, hello, is it possible that we'll get a future update where we can build our own shower? I think that would be really nice, since not all showers look like the ones in the game. And Grant says, probably not. While you're not wrong, it's an amount of effort and specificity that doesn't hit enough people, I don't think. And I think there is a rather easy solution to this, and I think it's to patch in a backless shower. We've had that in some previous Sims games, and then that way you could just put in a backless shower and then just build whatever you want around it, so you're still kind of building your own custom showers. I guess one other thing that would be handy with it is just have a few glass panels that can stand on their own, so then it would be even better. So I don't think it's too complicated in that sense. And now we're going to end this one on a funnier note, as AGB Reads says, what's with the whole get theme? Like, get to work, get together, and now get famous. Why didn't City Living, Pets, and Seasons have get somewhere in their titles? And Grant replies saying, we joke about this a lot. I don't think it was intentional, but it tends to work. When we pick titles, it has to work in 18 languages worldwide, so it's always such a thing. I wanted to call Dine Out Get to Dinner. And yeah, it was a little bit weird to me that the Get meme suddenly came back with Get Famous. And honestly, I really hope they never use the Get thing again. I think it's really silly. I mean, The Sims 4 has such a hate bandwagon for it already. I don't think we also need more room for the game to be made fun of with these repetitive Get titles. So yeah, I would have called Get Famous Rich and Famous instead. I think that would have still made a whole lot of sense without using Get in the title, and I don't think Get University or Get Educated needs to be a title either. I think they can do better. And that wraps up another Sims info/thoughts video. So feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below on any of the topics that I covered in this video, and be sure to leave a like or a comment or even subscribe, because it lets me know that you like my channel, my videos, and it helps you keep up to date more easily with my latest content from The Sims, Sonic the Hedgehog, and more. So I will talk to you all later, and have a great day. Thanks for watching!